What's the most unhinged thing you've ever seen someone do in public, like it was completely normal? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's take a look at what other users had to say. User 1 says, a very professional-looking woman, dressed in a skirt suit and matching shoes, was walking in front of us in Spain. Suddenly, she slapped her own face with surprising force. She didn't stop or change her facial expression. She hit herself so hard, I felt a secondhand sting.
User 2 says, had a lady light a cigarette in the bank the other day. This was after insisting that the gold $100 bill she tried to give me was real. Then she told my manager to fudge off and that she wasn't the manager. She clearly wasn't well, but it was all wild.
User 3 says a woman experiencing homelessness began to vomit on the bus seat in front of her. She then asked the gentleman she had almost hit to help retrieve her dentures and hand them back to her.
User 4 says, I once saw a guy lingering around a skip on a residential street with a blowtorch in his hand. He tried to set it on fire but couldn't get it to light. Then he turned the blowtorch on himself, looking directly at it while still trying to ignite it. That didn't work either, so he just walked away with the torch in hand as if nothing had happened. I was working in a bar in the middle of the afternoon and saw it all unfolding through the window. It wasn't even his house, and people walked past, ignoring him like it wasn't unusual. I asked one of the regulars what he was doing, and the response was, oh, that's just him, it's what he does. It happened nearly 20 years ago, and I still think about it now.
User 5 says I worked at public libraries for many years, and one of the most unexpected things I've seen was turning a corner to find a woman hunched over, cutting her hair onto the floor, just trimming her hair and letting it fall all over the library floor. She was checking the ends to make sure they were good, then trimming some more. All customer service training went out the window as I exclaimed, "What are you doing? No, just no." She had the grace to look ashamed and tried to scoop up all her little hair pieces.
User 6 says they discovered a random pill on the floor of the bus and decided to take it. Then, using a worn-out iPhone, they attempted to identify what the pill was.
User 7 says, a person on the subway, peeling and eating an entire raw onion as if it were an apple. Completely serious.
User 8 says, to make a very, very long story short, I worked at a ski resort with company housing. I had a really creepy housemate who, over the course of the winter, became progressively more unstable. One of the final straws leading up to his firing took place at the Children's Bunny Hill while I was taking a group of kids to their ski lesson. I see him sitting outside the shack at the top of the lift, feet resting on the controls, wearing nothing but a swimsuit and shaving his head with a pair of clippers. It was the middle of February, well below freezing, and this man was sitting in a lawn chair in a swimsuit, shaving his head on the bunny hill. I said, "Goodness, man, what are you doing?" And he calmly replied, "Well, there was an outlet up here." He gestured towards the outlet the clippers were plugged into. The kids are looking at me like, who on earth is that guy? That was one of the many bizarre things I saw that man do in public. User 9 says, walking down the street in Barcelona, a guy took his phone out and fully licked the screen to clean it. His whole tongue was out, using the entire surface with force for at least the 3 steps he walked by me.
User 10 says, I watched a woman walk completely unclothed down the street from a bus window. A moment later, a police car came careening around the corner, and the bus driver pointed and told them the direction she went in. Apparently, it wasn't her first offense.
User 11 says, threw mashed potatoes at the waitress because they had gravy on them.
User 12 says I was having a conversation with a person experiencing homelessness when another individual in a similar situation walked up, didn't say a word, pulled a bottle of vodka out of his trench coat, and handed it to the person I was speaking to. The person proceeded to open the bottle, start drinking it, choke, and accidentally spit it all over me. He gave me an apologetic look and walked away. I stood there stunned, and then a lady who watched the whole thing called the police, resulting in the guy getting arrested. It was so strange and really unpleasant.
User 13 says, someone at the airport who did not appear to be homeless grabbed an empty plastic bottle from the recycling bin, walked to the water fountain, filled it up, and drank from it.
User 14 says, back in early pandemic times, I was stuck in a long line at the grocery store, and the couple in front of me was ignoring their child. Everyone was masked up and many people had gloves. This child was stuffing cheesy puffs into the keyhole on the grocery cart and then sucking the cheese puff paste out of it. This went on for at least 30 minutes, cheese puff after cheese puff. No one stopped him.
User 15 says, I was tutoring a student at a public library in Orlando, and the student was unusually distracted, periodically glancing over my shoulder. Eventually, I asked the student what was going on, and he told me that a man behind me was watching inappropriate content on one of the library computers. He was a college kid, so I didn't think he could be that fazed. When I turned around, I saw an older man openly watching disturbing content involving women being aggressively restrained.
User 16 says her knickers were around one ankle, skirt pulled up at the front, and a leg propped on the sink for easier access, as she was trimming her hair with a razor in a supermarket restroom. We made direct eye contact, and I immediately walked back out.
User 17 says, sitting in the deli and bakery seating area of a grocery store, I was enjoying a coffee and donut when a man sat down next to us with a grocery bag. He pulled out a giant steak, still in its packaging that he had clearly just bought, and took out a small bottle of seasoning salt from his coat pocket. He then proceeded to eat the whole raw steak with his hands, making sure to salt every bite. It was absolutely unpleasant.
User 18 says I was walking through Walmart, and an elderly lady was on a motorized cart with a little girl riding on the back. I turned a corner, and she crashed into my cart, almost hitting me. She didn't stop or even slow down, and the little girl was giggling about it. User 19 says 2 people hitting each other with umbrellas in a disagreement. This happened at the university I used to attend. At least I got some morning entertainment before a dull lecture. User 20 says I saw a woman enter a sandwich shop with her friends while they were drunk. Instead of waiting to use the bathroom, she squatted over the mop bucket in the dining room and relieved herself, as if it were no big deal, in front of a full crowd of strangers. Quite the dinner theater.